He was convinced that he could do something better than everybody else.
That speed was getting into WO's blood.
From this little factory in North London, he produced these amazing cars that beat the world.
Bentley Motors were formed in July of 1919. Everybody knew that that motor car was correct and that they'd actually staked their life on it.
This is a wonderful car, make no mistake, a wonderful car to drive.
Have you ever wondered why James Bond drove an Aston Martin DB5 in Goldfinger, but a 1930 412-liter Bentley in the Casino Royale novel? While yes, it was necessary to modernize the spy books from the 1950s for the audiences of the 1960s, however, it also implied that the most well-known fictional spy in the world had a favorite car designer, Walter Owen Bentley, also known as W.O. In today's video, we're going to find out how Walter Owen designed and engineered Bentley, which led to James Bond driving the cars and ultimately becoming one of the world's most luxurious car companies. Walter Owen was born to a wealthy family on September 16th of 1888 in London. He was the youngest of his parents' 9 children, and his father Alfred was a businessman. Meanwhile, Walter was privately schooled at Clifton College in Bristol from 1902 to 1905. However, at the age of 16, he stopped attending school to start a 5-year apprenticeship with the Great Northern Railway, which put an end to his formal schooling. By the end of his apprenticeship, he had lost interest in locomotives and railroads and had grown fascinated by internal combustion engines. This new obsession started out in the form of motorcycles. Walter Owen raced Quadrant, Rex, and Indian motorcycles and competed in the Isle of Man TT in 1909 while riding a Rex. Then in 1910, he did it again while competing for Indian's Factory Squad. He was studying engineering theory at King's College London at the same time and managed the upkeep of the National Motor Cab Company's fleet of 250 French Unique taxis. Walter Owen and his brother H.M. made their first entry into the motor industry in 1912. Bentley & Bentley was established by Horace Milner to market French DFP cars. The DFPs were not particularly effective when they were delivered, but former motorcycle racer W.O. believed that winning competitions was essential to making sales. Bentley allegedly took inspiration from his paperweight to improve the DFP's performance by adding aluminum pistons and a tweaked camshaft. At Brooklands, the outcome broke numerous records in 1913 and 1914. Bentley was first introduced to the greater field of high-performance engineering with the outbreak of the First World War. Walter Owen was a Royal Naval Air Service officer and consulted on numerous aircraft engine projects, including the Rolls-Royce Eagle and a thorough modification of the French Clerget rotary engine known as the BR-1 for Bentley Rotary, and producing 150 horsepower, which functioned well as a Sopwith Camel power plant. Almost immediately after the war, the brothers established Bentley Motors Limited in order to profit from W.O.'s expertise in aircraft engine design during the war. They established a plant in Cricklewood, which will always be associated with the beginnings of the Bentley brand. They had the intention of producing highly reliable, high-performance sports cars. Their first 3-liter 4-cylinder road racing XP1 and XP2 claimed additional victories at Brooklands, then gained beneficial exposure at the 1922 Indianapolis 500. Finally, in 1924, the first of 5 checkered flags in the Le Mans 24-hour endurance race was introduced, which took place between that year and 1930. Bentley earned a devoted following from the ranks of the wealthy young British motorheads of the day, buoyed by success on the racetrack and with a strong and expanding reputation for dependable automobiles. These Bentley boys featured handsome former fighter pilots, several other war heroes, and racing fans. They were all professional gamblers, stock traders, and party animals who had been formed in the crucible of war. They were just the kind of individuals required to propel the Bentley name into the annals of fame and history, and they succeeded in doing just that. Although Walter Owen was having success in the races, his business wasn't performing as well. It looked as though there might not be enough money to keep the business going by 1924. Fortunately, Bentley's clients were both extremely devoted and wealthy. Bentley was purchased by Wolf Bernardo, heir to a sizable diamond wealth, who also kept WO. He was effectively relieved of business management in his role as designer, allowing him to focus on engineering. The interactions between WO and Bernardo were not always seamless. Because of his fundamental conservatism, WO designed using what is frequently referred to as the aircraft method, choosing the desired power level and sizing up the engine displacement to readily produce that power. European designers had started to prioritize maximizing performance from a given displacement, which results in outstanding engines with questionable lifespans. Although they had superchargers mounted on the crank snout and were well known as blower Bentleys, WO was vindicated when they showed to be far more flimsy than normally aspirated Bentleys on the track. Rather, WO, a 3-liter 4-cylinder engine, quickly evolved into a 412-liter 4-cylinder and then a 612-liter 6-cylinder engine because they desired to continuously increase the displacement. When the enormous 8-liter finally arrived, Rolls-Royce was so terrified of it that they outbid Napier for the firm during the Great Depression, when Bentley once again found itself in financial trouble. For the following 4 years, WO was kept at Rolls-Royce in a form of internal exile. The brilliant designer was not invited or allowed to contribute in any way to the development of the new Bentley model. Instead, he was told to serve as a customer liaison and drive cars for test purposes. Following a somewhat covert acquisition by Rolls-Royce, which saw Bentley as its most significant rival, the Bentley marquee vehicle that posed the most danger to its own were quickly put out of production. Until the ink was dry and Bernardo assumed a place on the Rolls-Royce board, the Bentley brothers were kept in the dark about their new owner, WO. From 1931 and onwards, Bentley badged vehicles would share chassis and engines with their roller rivals. Its most formidable adversary now owned Bentley Motors, a name that the brothers themselves had strangely never trademarked. The smaller company's groundbreaking technology, which included significant proficiency in the field of superchargers, was acquired by Rolls under the new organizational setup, while Bentleys continued to compete in racing. Later on, through the Second World War and beyond, this would immensely aid Rolls-Royce in producing highly successful aircraft engines. Off the racetrack, the Bentley moniker developed to become the standard for Rolls-Royce consumers who wanted a little bit more, or a lot more, oomph to go with their glitz and glamour, as well as, interestingly enough, those who desired the higher quality of a roller, but in a slightly less flashy package. A year later, in 1935, WO was permitted to go his own way once again. He was given the opportunity to join the newly reformed Lagonda Company, where he oversaw the development of the V12 Rapide. Sports automobiles and other frivolities were put on hold during the Second World War, but Walter Owen looked forward and correctly foresaw post-war austerity. He started working on a DOHC straight-six engine to achieve that. His 2.6-liter straight-six Lagonda engine was taken from the eponymous Lagonda luxury automobile and fitted below the hood of the Aston Martin 2-liter Sport, creating the brand new DB2 for the 1950s. Aston Martins were powered by variations of the Lagonda engine until 1959, and the 6s and V8 that took its place were inspired by its design. Approximately at the same time, WO joined the Bentley Drivers Club as a patron. His design career continued, most notably with contributions to the Armstrong Siddeley Sapphire, but from that point until his passing in 1971, his greatest sense of fulfillment came from the Drivers Club. Following financial issues resulting from its aviation engine business, the British government decided to nationalize and disband Rolls-Royce. In 1980, the car division was separated into its own company and sold to the Vickers Weapons Group. Bentley received a new lifelong lease and the opportunity to revive its declining sales by reinventing itself as a performance brand under the new owners. The 6.7-liter, 537-horsepower turbocharged V8 in the 1982 Mulsanne restored the brand's reputation by accelerating the 2.5-ton beast from 0 to 60 miles per hour in under 7 seconds, without dropping a drop of cognac from the decanter in the rear. The never-ending game of musical chairs that was the British auto industry through the second half of the 20th century saw Rolls-Royce changing hands again, and Bentley with it. Volkswagen purchased the company in 1988, and BMW, who had bought Rolls' aviation engine assets, also acquired the Rolls moniker a decade later. Up until 2003, when Volkswagen moved the complete production chain back in-house, the two German companies traded Bentley engines and several other parts. Since then, Volkswagen has made significant investments in Bentley, modernizing and expanding its production facilities and creating a variety of distinctive body designs that have finished the separation from Rolls-Royce and restored the Big B's flying wing mark to its rightful place at the table. Volkswagen invested £500 million, which is about $845 million US, in the Crewe facility after acquiring the company to modernize it and boost output. Early in 2010, there were roughly 3,500 employees at Crewe, up from about 1,500 in 1998 before Volkswagen purchased the company. Volkswagen reportedly contributed roughly $2 billion US in total to the restoration of Bentley. The bodywork now arrives fully painted at the Crewe site for final assembly, with the pieces coming from Germany as a result of upgrading facilities there. Similarly, Rolls-Royce body shells are painted and delivered to the UK just for assembly. Despite having an installed capacity of 9,500 vehicles annually, demand was so high that the plant in Crewe was unable to fulfill orders. There was a more than 12-month waiting list for new cars to be delivered. Consequently, the Volkswagen Phaeton luxury car was also put together at the Transparent factory in Germany, which was also given a portion of the manufacture for the new Flying Spur, a 4-door variant of the Continental GT. After producing about 1,000 cars, this arrangement came to an end at the end of 2006, and all car production was transferred back to the Crewe facility. In 2002, to commemorate Queen Elizabeth II's Golden Jubilee, Bentley gave her an official state limousine. The Bentley Azure two-door convertible's production ceased in 2003. It was superseded by the Bentley Continental GT, a sizable luxury coupe with a W12 engine made in Crewe. Bentley announced that by 2030, all new vehicles will be electric. This news also came in the wake of British Prime Minister Boris Johnson's announcement in February of 2020 that he had authorized legislation to outlaw all fuel combustion vehicles, including hybrid and plug-in hybrid cars, from the UK by 2030 and phase them out entirely by 2035. As of 2022, Bentley's revenue is projected to reach $1.25 billion US. Bentley unit sales are expected to reach 6.2 thousand vehicles in 2026. The volume-weighted average price of Bentley in 2022 is expected to amount to $240,000 US. From an international perspective, it is shown that the most revenue will be generated in the United Kingdom. Bentley's history isn't a smooth sailing one. It has gone through many hands and faced many challenges. However, it has persevered and come out stronger every time. While Walter Owen, the original engineer and designer of Bentley, didn't live to see the company that he started achieve the level of success it has today, he lived a fulfilling life and made a lasting impact. And just as W.O. envisioned, Bentley is still known for its superior engineering and design. The company has made a name for itself in the luxury automotive market and will continue to innovate for many years to come. If you liked the video, please leave a thumbs up to help the channel out, and if you want more videos like this one, subscribe to our channel. See you in the next video.